Pinoy IP Works is an intellectual property company that emphasizes creation of cost-effective and efficient IP strategies for Filipino ideas. Karl Revelar is part of the founding team and the head of IP Valuation at Pinoy IP Works. Kiia Dizon is the startup development lead at Pinoy IP Works. So hello Karl, hello Kiia. We're very
Hi,
honored to
Johnny.
have you here sa Startup Podcast. Ayan, so let's start with the first question. So ano nga ba ang Pinoy IP Works?
Siguro ako na lang yung sasagot. No? Bilang ako yung mas matagal sa Pinoy IP Works. So yung Pinoy IP Works, it's a spin-off company ng Fortun Narvasa Salazar. So Fortun Narvasa Salazar is a law firm. It's a full service firm. So marami siyang kumaga focus like litigation and everything. So kami yung parang independent na intellectual property arm. So yung Pinoy IP Works, nag-start siya as a team of 5. So si manager and director namin si Attorney Bailoste, ako, tapos may 3 pa. Yung isang chemist, isang industrial design, tsaka isang material science and engineering. So yung Pinoy IP Works, nabuo siya kasi as I was explaining earlier before while we were talking before the show.
Recording content.
Sabi ni Attorney Bai, yung gusto niya kasi magkaroon ng mag-focus doon sa IP work kasi yung mga lawyers at tinuturuan niya hindi nagfo-focus sa IP work. So kailangan talaga ng mga dedicated na people na merong technical background to talk to the researchers, talk to the inventors, talk doon sa mga startups na merong technology, di ba? So, kailangan meron kang technical background. Tapos, sila yung, kapag nakausap mo na sila, maintindihan mo yung technology and you can write a patent for them. So, ganun yung yung services namin sa ngayon is we help mostly marami kami mga hinahawakan ng mga part government research. Alam mo naman 'di ba sa Pilipinas, parang yung research ng Pilipinas is fully, parang most of it is funded by the government.
Yeah, true.
Tapos yung yung research, yung government funded research, meron kasing tech transfer law, 'di ba, na kailangan merong IP policy yung bawat research and development institute and state university and college. Therefore, kailangan nila mag-patent, kailangan nila mag-file ng trademark, kailangan nila mag-file ng IP. So, kailangan i-protect nila yung IP. So, many of those technologies, mga research ng mga state university and colleges, research and development institutes, tumadaan sa amin, we write the patents for them, and then we prosecute them, and then, ayun. But it does not stop there kasi we help them also in the commercialization aspect, in the valuation aspect. Required kasi sila required kasi na parang merong balik sa gobyerno man lang na kasi yung point kasi is hindi ka lang dapat na meron ka parang certificate na may patent ka. Dapat magamit mo siya either as a public good service, or something na na pwede mo ipa-license out sa businesses para makatulong ka naman. Para may balik sa gobyerno kasi nagpag-fund yung ng research ng gobyerno pero parang although basic research is good, pero we want also na parang may may balik din sa gobyerno.
And output, of course, may something na magagamit yung mga tao, yung pinakadulo na gagamit ng mga tao. I think that's interesting, especially yung founding team. I want to know more about that. Maybe we can talk more about that later. Pero punta tayo dun sa parang pinaka-core muna ng ginagawa ni Pinoy IP Works. So ano nga ba ang intellectual property? I mean, let's just define it para mas magets ng ating mga listeners and natin. So ano nga ba ang IP? And why do startups need to know about IP?
Yeah. Generally, ang pinakaunang touch point ng mga tao sa IP is actually trademark. So marami kasing kinds ng IP, di ba? Trademark, patents, copyright, ayan. Pag may kanta, may copyright, ibig sabihin, for example, si artist, meron siyang karapatan na kumita doon sa kanta niya. Hindi pwede na ibang tao for example, ako nag-compose ng kanta, hindi sila pwede na kumopya lang. And alam naman natin na kapag let's say may movie, hindi nga pwedeng illegally download 'yon, di ba? So, yun yung mga initial na touch points ng yun yung intellectual property 'yon. Trademark, yun yung, for example, yung Jollibee, di ba? Jollibee or McDonald's, yan yung mga mark na nagsasabi na merong quality, distinctive quality yung products and services ng McDonald's at Jollibee versus dun sa competitors nila. So these are kinds of intellectual property. Sa technology naman, protected yun ng patents. So kung yung patents, basically it's a right given to the inventors ng isang technology. So for example, ako scientist, 'di ba? Scientist ako. Tapos meron na akong ginawang invention. In exchange of me disclosing to the public on how the invention works, the government will give me a temporary monopoly so that mabawi ko yung temporary monopoly on commercialization, so that mabawi ko yung ginastos ko na effort, labor doon sa pag-research. At para naman magkaroon ako ng additional innovation doon sa research ko na. So eventually mag-i-improve yung research ko, and also by disclosing it, other people will learn about it and then improve yung invention. So medyo win-win situation 'yun sa ganong paraan na in exchange of disclosure ng invention, the public knows about it, other researchers will innovate, tapos ikaw magkakaroon ka din ng parang balik doon sa labor mo.
Yeah, and let's talk about yung how startups can benefit from this, kasi I think Pinoy IP Works is focusing on startups, on helping them. Yung service is medyo naka-center towards startups. So can we know ano ba yung service mismo na ginagawa ni Pinoy IP Works or ino-offer nito for startups? So maybe Kiia can also share at paano ba really nagko-contribute or nag-o-offer ng service si Pinoy IP Works sa startups?
Si Kiia na lang sagot.
Actually, based dun sa core ni Pinoy IP Works na we assist in trademark registration, patent application, and copyright. Yun yung core ni Pinoy IP Works. So when startup development program happened, so we still do that for them kasi yun yung IPA. The startup businesses has, of course, if they have the technology, they need to file a patent application. They need to register their trademark. So it will still boils down dun pa rin dun sa IP protection. So doon nagsimula yung startup development. So what we do basically, just to be specific, we did kasi last year, we startup program last year. So we did free consultation to startups, webinars in order for startup, and also yung mga startup aspirants. Kasi there are a lot of inventors, Filipino aspirant inventors na have a specific idea, they want to solve a certain solution. Doon naman nagsimula yung mga startup, they have a problem that they want to solve, di ba? So we want to inspire yung mga startup aspirant, and also yung mga startup founders na nandun na sila nagsimula na, pero may mga as we consult, as we talk to those startups, yung ibang startup hindi pa nila alam na the technology that they have has a value, that they need to protect. Kasi actually yun yung lagi kong sinasabi pag may kausap ako ng mga startup. Also nung nag-Philippine Startup Week kami, na ang idea ng startup, they accept that the technology keep on changing. So why do we need to protect it? It keeps on changing. So kaya papasok si Pinoy IP Works. Yes, it's changing. Technology keeps on changing, but you need to protect yours in order to alam mo yon, to solve yung problem mo. Kasi how can you commercialize your product if you haven't protected it at first? So yun, we give consultations, we assessment on their technology, and then as they go, of course, yung process ng business, since meron namang FNS, so our legal experts also assist them in terms of business. And then in terms of IP protection, of course, if we do prior art search on behalf of our startup, we check if their technology is novel, it's something that can be protected. So as they go dun sa before they launch their product or their technology, nandun kami, we're guiding them from the start. Ayun.
So is it right na si Pinoy IP Works ay parang consultancy somehow with regard to IP, and it also helps formulate yung strategies, yung protection nga ng IP and yung overall na legal part ng commercialization, etc. Yeah, and I also saw na one of, or actually several of those na parang actual na itinutulong ni Pinoy IP Works sa startups is yung brand licensing strategy and to make a cost-effective and efficient IP strategy. So ano ba ang ibig sabihin nitong brand licensing strategy? And maybe how do you make these strategies cost-effective nga and efficient?
Actually, siguro I'll just define na lang muna yung brand licensing strategy, no? So, if you're going to look at yung mga malalaking company na ngayon like Apple, Samsung, yung parang they know that their brand is already known in the market. Nandun na yung pangalan nila. But of course, hindi naman nila hahayaan na mawala yung brand nila, 'di ba? So they as they go, as they market their brand, of course they'll think of a strategy on how to make it strong, yung brand nila. So doon papasok yung brand licensing strategy. Especially yung mga startup natin, 'di ba? Yung mga startup natin, nagisimula pa lang sila, hindi pa kilala yung brand. So they need to have that strategy. So basically yung brand licensing strategy is yung mga ginagamit ng businesses to protect their technology or their brand while they promote it in order to give a profit in return. So one effective strategy na pwede nilang gawin is, of course, una, yun nga, they should know the value of their IP. Dun babalik yun eh. Know the value of their IP. So it will help them, of course, protect from other competitors to use their technology. Kasi if they don't know the value of their IP and they did not protect it, other competitors might copy yung technology, that certain technology that they want to commercialize. And a good example is it's a good way also to increase your revenue without risking your cost. Kasi if you license your brand, you can earn royalties without investing money by through marketing or production, kasi you're licensing your brand to your licensee. So yun. So I don't, Karl, you might want to add.
Yes, oo. Ganito kasi, paano magiging cost efficient yung IP, no, in a way na meron kasing parang maling akala yung mga tao na mahal magpa-patent. 'Di ba? Yung startups kasi, 'di ba? They're trying to solve a problem. Kapag magso-solve ka ng isang problem, tapos yung solution mo is innovative, na it's a technical solution to a problem in any field of human activity, papasok siya sa realm ng patentability. So patentable yung solution mo. Therefore, yung tech startups, what makes them different from other SMEs is technology itself. Yung solution nila, yung talaga yung So we want to protect yung solution na yun. And yung startups kasi, 'di ba, very small lang naman ng community. Although very small lang community, although marami kang medyo magkakakilala na kayo, 'di ba? Pero sometimes when you talk with them, with other competitors, ganyan, may mga ideas na nag-cross-pollinate yung mga ideas na sometimes di mo na alam kung kayo ng idea yan talaga. So, ang point is, you have to protect your idea, your solution, your solution to the problem. Because eventually, if you know that it's very valuable and you know na ito yung pinaka-core ng business mo, it has to be protected. And you can protect it by filing a patent application, for example. So, if it's cost efficient because actually yung filing fees, wala pa sa 7,000 pesos yung filing fees ng trademark. Ng patent.
Yeah.
'Di ba? Although I'm not advising na kayo yung magsulat ng patent niyo kasi 'di ba ikaw na nag-invent, ikaw pa magsusulat. So, tsaka yung patenting kasi may different na language kasi siya.
So Pinoy IP Works also help in writing that patent?
Oo, kami nagsusulat ng patents. Oo, so Sa team, lahat kami sa team marunong magsulat ng
And that's
patents.
why yung team din ay mga engineers and practitioners.
Yes, oo.
Tech.
Ganun siya.
Yung mga nagiging problem natin, 'di ba, in terms of like one startup, 'di ba, may mga nagiging problem yung sa mga examiner, hindi naiintindihan yung enough na claim ng mga inventors.
Yes, exactly. Tama, kaya thank you for bringing that up. Meron kasi yung mga kasi may mga inventors kasi na parang do it yourself. Although maganda 'yun Pero may kasi may rules kasi 'yun. Tapos may certain language na dapat masulat mo siya in a way na very broad yung claims mo. So 'yun. So mura yung filing fees natin sa Pilipinas. Tapos kapag nabigay naman sa iyo yung temporary monopoly na 'yon, yung ng patent na 'yon, ang laki ng balik sa iyo kasi 'di ba, if your business grows, so does the value of the IP. 'Di ba? So if ever na sumuko ka na, ibenta mo na lang yung IP to a larger company, 'di ba? May kaakibat na value 'yun. So yun, anyway, ang point is you really have to protect your IP. Dapat ang isang advice ko sa mga startups na namin is that merong IP champion bawat team. Kasi
siyempre pag talaga nag-scale talaga yung business.
Oo. Actually yung pagiging IP champion, importante yun hindi lang sa startup, actually sa mga SMEs din. Kasi for example, very recent lang. Kahapon, may nag-SOS sa amin sa email. Di siguro alam ni Kiia. May nag-SOS sa email. Parang, please help us kasi parang merong silang competitor na feeling nila ay ginagaya na sila. So, sa meeting, nag-usap kami na parang, although meron kaming NDA, pero parang feeling nila ay may ginagawa ng It's very real, actually. It's very real in the Philippines. May mga competitors na dahil nga may NDA naman pero tawag diyan may mga nagde-leak out na ideas kasi.
I think somehow it can protect yung mga nag-start na startups kasi for example you have an idea, parang may temporary monopoly ka. I mean in some ways monopoly may negative parang effect. Pero may, as a small player, may monopoly ka and mapoprotect mo siya against yung mga larger players na pwedeng kunin na lang basta yung idea mo. So, somehow it can protect yung mga budding, yung mga nag-grow and yung mga mag-scale na startups.
It levels the playing field actually. Kasi if kung yung patent mo is strong enough such that parang even the big players see the value of your IP na parang hindi natin yan kasi naka-patent yan, hindi natin So, pampaprotect talaga siya. Lalo na kung marami kang set ng technologies na ikaw talaga yung dun sa industry yung parang nagsisimula talaga na merong sobrang innovative na na solution. Kasi 'di ba yung mga large companies, madali lang sa kanya, they get people, resources, madali lang sa kanila, bigyan mo lang konting oras, get the best programmers in the world, 'di ba? Yeah. And then boom, they have a replica of your business model and your solution.
Yeah.
Okay, yun yung nagiging problem ng mga startup as they want to grow big, they communicate, they deal with larger company na hindi nila alam na when they talk to them, alam mo yun, parang syempre instead of kunin sila as startup company to instead of licensing, parang ginagawa ng mga big companies, copy na lang if they know na wala pang protection yung technology technology ng startup, so might as well copy, diba, produce their own.
Oo. Tsaka, if you think about it, the large companies actually patent all their IP. Even Tesla who says na parang, hindi kayo magpa-patent kami, pero lahat yun mga public good lang, pwedeng copy ng iba, ganyan. Pero actually, if you look at Tesla, ang dami nilang patents. Apple, of course, and Samsung, and Google, and all the large tech companies, have a lot of AI and na patents. So
dapat para accessible nga yung patenting, basically accessible din sa mga startups. Yeah, I think, and I want to know more than just a team, and maybe can we know more about yung operations mismo, like yung team. So paano ba nag-work, like yung legal side and yung technical side? So can we just understand this more para mag-guess din ng startups kung ano ba yung if ever ma-face nila if they go ask help from Pinoy IP Works?
Well, yeah, si Attorney Bay naman kasi, of course, IP lawyer siya. So, he knows the law. He knows corporate law. He's an expert at patents, at trademark, in IP. So, he can help like startups doon sa IP side and also doon sa corporate side, doon sa pagtatayo ng company, sa due diligence, sa paggawa ng licensing deal. So maraming sa acquisitions and mergers. So actually yung Fortun Narvasa Salazar, yun naman sa pambabrag nun. Tapos meron kasi merong tawag na Legal 500 sa Philippines na firm. So kasama yung Fortun Narvasa Salazar doon sa Legal 500, top tier top tier firm for mergers and acquisitions, projects and energy. So ayun. So madali sa amin na if kung tutulungan namin yung isang startup, merong legal side, merong IP side, we can easily grab one of our colleagues. Grab talaga. Pero we can easily talk to our colleagues. So, pwede ba natin tutulungan itong startup na to?
Yeah.
And that's what we do actually to the startups that we help.
Yeah.
Ayun.
And Kiia mentioned earlier na Pinoy IP Works nga has a session ng Philippine Startup Week 2021. Actually, ang title niya is From Smarts to Start, Intellectual Property Law Basics for PH Startups. So I just want to know lang, like, ano ba yung nangyari itong event na to? And just a quick summary maybe. Can you share with us this session na ginawa ni Pinoy IP Works?
Okay. So, yung Philippine Startup Week kasi, it's the largest virtual conference. Actually, before, I think, way back before, hindi siya virtual
the first time niya physical siya, pero yung last 2 years is online.
So, yun. So, it's the largest conference, startup conference in the Philippines. So, hindi lang mga startup, of course, meron yung mga investors, yung mga enablers, kami community partners, and even if yung mga estudyante lang na they're aspiring to be an inventor, want to have a startup, of course, we invited them to be a part of that Philippine Startup Week. So basically, Pinoy IP Work was invited to be a community partner of the Philippine Startup Week. So it's a 5-day conference. So dinesign namin yung program wherein we have 3 segments. So the first segment, of course, we have Attorney Loste, and then the second segment, we had this sa first segment, ang diniscuss kasi na Attorney Loste yung mga about yung mga startup na naging unicorn like Patsnap, Canva. So he discussed there kung paano yung mga startup, parang just to give a glimpse na how can a startup be almost $1 billion worth company after two years or so, just because they know the value of their IP. Then yung second session is we connect with our startup founders. So we have a panel discussion. So since we're doing yung mga consultations, so we have a pool already of our startups where we're talking to giving advices to. So sinama namin sila dun sa segment in order to share their experience on paano sila ngayon, how they start their startup, ano yung ginagawa nila throughout the development stage. So and how they're going to expedite their product market fit. So yun yung second segment namin. And then yung last segment, of course, since meron kaming legal arm, we invited one of our senior associate to be a part of the Ask Me Anything segment. So it's an hour-long segment wherein our legal expert and of course Karl, our IP valuation head, and of course we invited as well again yung startup namin to talk directly to the participants. And yung mga participants is yung mga, actually there are investors, there were startup founders. Yung mga startup founders, actually napansin ko nga nung Philippine Startup Week, actually nung segment na yun, they're much easier to talk to with yung mga startup founders. And then yung mga startup founders, they're happy to share their experience. Ano yung mga naging struggles nila, ano yung tinulong ni Pinoy IP Works sa kanila in terms of business registration, how to know the importance of their technology, yung IP nila, ano yung core IP nila. And in terms of legal naman, and yung IP valuation, ayun nandun si Karl. Hindi yung mga investors, I think they talk, even Attorney Lost and Attorney Again, share a talk with the investor. So ano yung ginagawa ni Pinoy IP Works, how we deal with startups. So there were the collaboration between those experts, the founders. We're happy to be a part of that and share yung experience namin and as we deal with startups. So basically
And you mentioned I'm just curious, I'm just very interested lang yung IP valuation, and si Karl nga ay head of IP valuation. So I mean, is it okay to ask how do you value an IP? I mean, kahit concept lang, kahit like big picture.
Yeah. Oo. Basically IP kasi 'di ba, it's the foundation of value kasi talaga ng isang startup or business, 'di ba? For example, si Jollibee, roughly around $7 billion ata yung total value ng business. Pero if you look at doon sa papers ng sa SEC submissions nila, parang half of the value ng $7 billion is actually doon lang sa Jollibee na trademark. Eh di ba Jollibee trademark is an IP. So yung foundation ng value ngayon sa mga businesses, doon napupunta na doon sa IP, is not doon sa tangible assets na amount of cash, building, amount of people. So paano nila binavalue yon? Binavalue niyo yon yung IP. Merong process yan kasi of course you have to get someone na alam yung techniques, no? Pero it's an art and science kasi na parang first you have to contextualize paano ginagamit yung IP, kagaya ng patent, paano siya ginagamit, ano yung business model. So there are 3 approaches. Yung una yung cost approach. Cost approach would be yung parang how much R&D did you incur, or R&D cost did you incur in creating the IP? So for example, yung total amount of labor and work hours, tapos yung rate ng employees mo. So that would be roughly yung it translates to the parang sort of a rough value ng IP. And then there's income approach, which is that's valuing the IP depending on the business model on how you use the IP. So for example, you use the IP to manufacture products, tapos you get this revenue, diba? Tapos you project it into meron ka ng parang financial model, you project it in 5 years, that gives you roughly a value of the IP or yung pinaka-value ng IP. And then there's market approach where you compare, kasi yung IP kasi may mga licensing kasing nangyayari between companies, and they give a sort of a value to the IP that they license out. Ganyan. You will find, if you use the market approach, you have to find a comparable IP. Kumbaga, if it's a drug, let's say may nakita kang mga licensing transactions of the licensing of a drug, that's para, for example, diabetes drug. Yun. Tapos you're also developing a similar drug for diabetes, for example. So by comparison, you can see kung paano mo ma-value yung item mo. Plus or minus some other factors within the market, etc. Tapos the size of the company, etc. So roughly ganun yung approach ng valuation. Importante yung valuation kasi nga sa business kasi siya talaga yung pinaka-foundation of value. And kung let's say gagawa ka ng some innovation, isa sa mga kailangan malaman kung kikita ba tayo dito? Basically yun yung tanong. And valuation can tell you that. Kung kikita ba tayo diyan, importante ba to? So yun, basically ganun yung valuation.
That's interesting. I really learned a lot actually from this conversation about IP, about valuation, about when protecting yung technology. So just for our ender question, I mean medyo general lang na question kasi I think many Filipinos don't know or don't care even about IP, intellectual property. So meron ba kayo idea like sa state ng knowledge ng mga tao about IP ngayon? Like marami ba or kaunti ba yung may alam or may pakialam sa intellectual property? And what do you think of this going forward to in the future? I'm just curious about it.
Siguro ako tapos or Kiia and then sagot na. Pahiwalay na Sige. Ako na lang ako. Well, technically IP, parang hindi masyadong nag-respectful sa IP yung mga tao, di ba? Una kasi,
Very
yung-
jargon pa nga siya eh.
oh, very jargon. Tsaka, well, what I'm trying to say is parang, di ba, may mga counterfeit items tayo, mga fake goods, ganyan. So, tuloy-tuloy pa rin. Parang hindi masyadong respectful sa ano. Pero eventually, kailangan kasi talaga ng education about it. Pero that's it for the general public, ano. Pero at least alam nila, no, at ang tingin ko sa mga tao, alam nila yung copyright,
Yeah.
alam nila yung trademark, pero wala silang alam sa patents, diba?
Yeah.
Tsaka hindi din alam yung trade secret, yung ganyan, mga proprietary information. Those are IP. In terms naman ng technology sa for example sa IP filings na lang, ang Pilipinas, ito I can say about sa patents, ano. Sa Pilipinas, although nagpo-produce tayo ng research, kukonti lang yung mga applications natin na ina-apply natin sa Intellectual Property Office locally. Laging 5 times, 20 times mas malaki yung mga patent applications na papasok galing sa mga multinational companies. Kasi for example, di ba may large company ka, like for example, Alibaba, they would like to set up a base here in the Philippines or like to do business here. And they have these core technologies. They have to file a patent application here in the Philippines para ma-protect yung technologies nila. Pero sa Pilipinas, yung mga yung mga pina-file natin na patents, nagpo-produce naman tayo, nagpo-file tayo, pero sobrang konti. So that's the challenge actually. Yan yung reason kung bakit gusto namin hindi kami masyadong nag-cater sa mga patents coming in tapos papunta dito. We cater towards sa Filipino na inventions. Kasi gusto namin makakita ng unicorns, Filipino unicorns. Kasi matatalino naman tayo, di ba? We want to see Filipino startups na protected yung IP nila. And then palabas yung solution nila sa societal problems, ma-apply nila sa iba't ibang bansa. That's what we want. Na parang kumbaga, we are a nation of innovators. We want a nation of innovators na gumagawa talaga ng research, we are protecting yung IP nila, nagfa-file, tapos palabas yung solution na dinadala na sa ibang bansa. So that's how we create a larger value dun sa economy na gusto natin na makatulong. Kasi 'di ba, as you know, bilang Philippine Science ka din, para malaki yung pondo ng gobyerno every year para sa research and development, pero parang nasa ng balot. nasa ng niya sa economy. So
eating more
innovators.
Yeah, Kiia, I mean, they have something to say just for our
Actually, yun nga, no, parang if we're going to look at it, marami talagang Filipino inventors. Yung iba, talagang they have something, they invented something special, pero actually, the problem actually is how are we going to mass produce it, to market it in not only locally, no, even internationally. So yun yung nakikita ko medyo one problem. And then I don't know if it's being protected here din. Parang yun yung mga isa sa mga hindi ko nakikita na kung pinoprotect ba nila yung inventor. Might as well they're going to sell it na lang. Yun is sa mga nagiging problem. Parang the lack of support on protecting the IP, the invention of a certain Filipino inventor, dun din yung medyo walang support. So might as well just market it, sell the idea to others who can protect it and monopolize, market it. So yun, dun lang. And then yung problem is, one problem din na nakikita ko rin is, yung a lot of Filipino inventors, there's one problem, they create a solution, they market it, but they don't know that they're infringing someone's technology already. So they think na parang they're free to market their product, their technology, but they don't know that someone's already did that. So yun yung isa sa mga gap din na nagiging problem din natin kasi nga we're infringing someone's technology already without us knowing. So either ikaw makakasuhan or alam mo yun yung mga problema din natin in terms of IP. The lack of knowledge of freedom to operate is also not prioritize.
Yeah, thank you very much. So if listeners want to know more about IP, about intellectual property, or maybe startups want to ask help from Pinoy IP Works, so where can they get more information on the website or maybe sa Facebook? So you can just plug about Pinoy IP Works.
Siguro si Kiia na lang mag-plug.
Just subscribe to our website. And yung website namin, basic na www.pinoyipworks.com. So you can check there yung mga services ni PB, ni Pinoy IP Works. And also we have a Facebook account and Instagram, yung mga social media accounts namin. Pinoy IP Works, just search Pinoy IP Works. So you can message through our social media account to know more about us and our services.
Yun pala yung PUW, Pinoy IP.
Pinoy IP Works.
Yeah.
Parang
I like
kami lang PB tawag na.
I like kasi parang naka-ground nga talaga din yung movement ni Pinoy IP Works na medyo parang friendly and accessible and inclusive. Talagang helping startups. Yeah, so thank you very much, Karl. Thank you very much, Kiia. I really like this episode. Ang dami ko rin na-realize and natutunan about IP, about actually leveling the playing field. I really like that. And yeah, overall, like how you can help startups grow. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you, Johnny.
Ingat ka, Johnny.
Thank you very much to our 7 patrons. This episode is super powered by NutriCoach, the all-in-one productivity tool for dietitians and nutritionists. This episode is powered by ePlayment. Support us at www.patreon.com/startuppodcastph. Are you a small business owner or someone who has a real interest in building your own brand? Then deep dive into the UP Consulting Group's Business Building Bootcamp, the annual convention and training camp for entrepreneurial spirits. Don't miss the chance to discover how you can unlock your business potential this March 5 and 6.